Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this latest episode. Just want to say our latest sponsor, our newest sponsor, is Fort Scott Munitions, a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, as well as directly online through www.fortscottmunitions.com. Once again, that's FortScottMunitions.com. Use our exclusive promo code BATTLELINE for 15% off your order. Of course, that's one word, BATTLELINE, only available to listeners of the Battleline Podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Kris Paranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. And Kris, I know that, you know, this is what you use when you're doing your Battleline Tactical courses.
Yeah. Actually, you do that pretty good, brother. You've actually, have you done commercials before? I don't know.
Yes, I've done. I mean, I've been doing radio for quite some time, so I have done some live.
You did a couple here. That was a pretty good non-rehearsed. That was outstanding. I need you to do the new sunglass commercial if we ever do another one.
I mean, I know you believe in the product, so I could read it with some passion. I've known, and it's the Kraft family that does the ammunition in Fort Scott, Kansas. If you've ever been to Fort Scott, Kansas, and I tell people go, it especially during Fort Scott days, that is Americana. That's when you see movies and you think of the Midwest, and that is it. That is strictly Americana, small town, family run business, and they put their hearts and souls to whatever, and that's how it is in the Midwest. Whatever they do, whatever work they want to do, or they do as a family, especially, they put their heart and soul in it, man. And the product resonates heart and soul, and it resonates quality, and it's fantastic. I use it for all my training classes for Battleline Tactical Training. Hunting, it is a perfect for all you hunters out there. It is one of the best hunting ammos that you're gonna find. For those that do the Creedmoor ammo, look at their Creedmoor stuff. They're 300 blackout. I shoot 300 blackout. I actually use 300 blackout for my home defense ammo. You know, God forbid you ever have to get in a situation where you have to use a firearm to protect yourself. But I'll tell you, and I'm no Sergeant York. There's guys that have been through so much more experiences downrange than I have, as far as having to defend their lives or defend others' lives. But I tell you what, when you are in a life or death situation, you want ammo that stops the threat immediately. You don't want to have to get into a continued fight with the threat. I've been there, guys. And you want something that's going to protect your family and protect yourself, so you're able to get out of that situation with your family and yourself, or an innocent alive. And again, God forbid you ever have to worry about that. But today's society, you know, it's kind of sucks, but that's just how it is. It's just kind of the way we go. So, you know, I always recommend Fort Scott and anything, and that's the one I use, and that's the one I carry at my house. It's the one I train with, and even just going and doing target shooting, it's some of the most accurate, if not the most accurate ammo on the market today. And I know the family personally. So that helps me. That helps me know that they have integrity, and they do care. They care about what they're putting out there. They're just not throwing stuff out there to say, "Oh, let's see what sticks." They have quality stuff that they've tested, and then they let me test, and I give feedback to them. And if it's terrible, I'll say, "Hey, guys, you need to fix this," and they fix it. But that's something right there, where your ego's in check, that you can ask somebody, "Give me your honest opinion of this," and I may not like it, and I'll tell them that. I'll say, "Well, what didn't you like about it?" "Okay, well, let's go back to the shop and let's see if we can fix it so it's more inclined to what people need out there, whether they're hunting or whether they're using it for home defense or law enforcement and military." I know you guys like going with the lowest bidder, but lowest bidder doesn't always save lives. So if you guys are out there, law enforcement, military community, I recommend you get with Fort Scott Ammunition and Fort Scott Munitions and check out their ammunition ASAP. The guys the guys downrange and the guys on the street are going to thank you for it down the line.
Right on, man. Well, it's fortscottmunitions.com. And once again, promo code Battleline for 15% off. And we stand behind these guys. With that, let's get right into the episode.
On the microphones, pure and uncensored American straight talk. Never quit. You're locked and loaded with Kris Peranto and Ian Scotto. This is the Battleline Podcast.
Battleline Podcast. We are on episode 4 now. Still no catchphrase. We'll get a catchphrase at some point, right, Kris?
It will. It's got to come to us. It's just like your call sign. You can't. Harry Potter doesn't just go in there and pick his own wand, man. I always say that. You can't pick your own call sign. You can't pick your own catchphrase. It just happens, and it just feels. Yeah, that's it right there. When you try to force it, it doesn't work, man. It's got to come natural. It's got to pick you. The catchphrase has got to find us, brother. We can't go find that.
I fully agree. And we're still early on in this, so, it'll be a few episodes down the line, maybe. I do want to talk about, since we're taping this pre-Thanksgiving, hoping that you guys had a good Thanksgiving, and maybe we'll get into some stories of guys who don't get to have that pleasure of going home for Thanksgiving who are downrange. But I kind of wanted to start things on a light note, and I was actually just telling our engineer Miles about this. So you've been completely off Twitter for a while, so you kind of don't see what's going on in terms of Twitter political drama. But I think you also miss out on some funny things, like some just stupid things that go around. So,
oh, Lord.
Have you by any chance seen this thing with Papa John, the creator of Papa John's? Like,
no, that was funny. I saw that. My wife, we're doing Black Friday sales. I have merchandise. I got to do all that stuff. So we're posting stuff. We're building like email blasts for companies and for myself. And I saw it. I go, and it said Papa John founder, the guy on the commercials all the time. I didn't even know he wasn't Papa John anymore. I like, what is that? This guy? What happened to him? So I just found out yesterday that he was fired by the board, or that he was asked to step down. But brother, I know nothing else about the story. I just kind of rolled my eyes and said, whatever. We got to keep working.
That story is like, that's a little older. I think he made some like racial comments on a phone call, and they asked him to step down. But he did this interview, and I was just watching it actually with Miles showing him, and I think we both agreed. The guy looks like he's on something, and he gave this really bizarre interview. We're just going to play like 20 seconds of it. So if you could hit that, I want to see what Kris thinks of this.
I've had over 40 pizzas in the last 30 days. Living currently in Mark Shapiro should be in jail. He has no pizza experience. He's never been in the pizza category. I would just say, stay tuned. The day of reckoning will come. The record will be straight.
Why not set the record straight now? I mean, what is it about the record that's not straight?
Stay tuned.
I just like that. What does he say? I've had 40 pizzas in the last 50 days. I think.
And that's there are times when and I've been here before, where you have to consider, should I really be doing an interview today? You got to ask yourself, am I in the right mindset? Sometimes you're so pissed. They're thinking, and believe me, I think people that have followed me and know my story know that there are times where I'm pissed, I'm angry. And when you're super angry, and it happened once to me when I was extremely angry, and I still went on and did the interview anyway. But there are times when you are so angry, or you're right. Maybe I don't know if I'm not going to speculate that he's on something. Maybe he's just been eating too much pizza. Obviously, that's what he's been saying.
Look, I love pizza. I live in New York, but 40 pizzas in the last, or he said 50 pizzas in the last 40 days was something like that. Something insane. Like maybe you need to lay off the pizza a little bit.
Maybe your colon is talking to you and telling you, you know what, man, you don't need to be going on TV. Your colon needs to be taken care of right now. Again, that's where I just tell you, don't think about it. do I really need to be doing this press today? I'm not in the mind state to do it. No, I probably shouldn't go on. And you got to walk away from it. But he went in, and that's the problem now is, this is an old adage that I've said for years, even before Benghazi even happened. When the bullet goes down range, you can't take it back. What that means is that once you shoot that bullet, it's gone. And wherever that thing hits, you can't do anything about it. So what that analogy means that once you say something, once you say something on the media, once you put it out there, you can't unsay it. So don't go and do media unless you are in a good mindset, you've had well rest, and you're in a happy place, because stuff like that is going to be said. And now on Twitter, I guess it's just going on fire on Twitter.
Yeah, people are loving it.
Well, I guess there are also those in marketing that say any press is good press, good or bad. I don't tend to believe that at all. But
especially for him, because if he's no longer at Papa John's, what is he doing press for?
Because he's pissed. Honestly, because he's pissed off. He's angry. He's trying to get his amends. He's trying to. That is the best way to do it nowadays. It's not going by in the woodshed and getting in a fight anymore. And hey, walking away, handshake, and say, "Hey, that was good. Okay, I'm sorry. We're still brothers." It's okay. Let's just take him to town on social media. People do that to me.
Yeah,
hey, you're not good. I have people that would like to talk bad about me, or maybe I've done them where they feel I've done them wrong, or Hillary didn't get this big one. Hillary didn't get elected. It's your fault, Tano. Well, I said, if we got problems, here's my schedule. Here's where I'm speaking at. I'm going to be here on this day. Why don't you come and we'll talk about it? But I don't get that. I just keep getting the media push or the social media push of how I'm just such a big ass. That's just how it is. That's today's society. So he's out there. He's angry, and maybe he's right. I don't know, because did he say the true story's going to come out soon? Whatever it is.
I wonder what that is. But by the way, speaking of you saying like this is where I'm speaking, I did see that over this past weekend you did a tactical shooting event, and the one thing I'll say that I noticed is I've said it before, man, but you have like a big female following. And it is not typically, when I see guys doing tactical training courses, it is typically the vet bro or wannabe vet bro community. Yeah. And it's not to insult any of those people, but I see, and it's like a good mix of females in there, and some good looking females that you wouldn't typically think are at a tactical shooting event.
Man, some of them are pretty high speed shooters too. And they're tough. Bro, and it's not me. It's also Benny Glossop, who's the head of combatives for Battleline. Battleline is not, and Battleline Tactical and Battleline Podcast. I know we pulled. I thought that was a great idea to do that. That's all Ian's idea, guys. Everybody out there, I had nothing to do with naming the podcast Battleline. That is Ian's expertise, which I think is brilliant. But Battleline Tactical, the training company, consists of, it's not me. That's why I didn't call it Tano's Tactical Training. I wanted it to be a company where I had instructors, and what the focal point was the training, not Tano. So I brought in Benny Glossop, who's a tremendous instructor. He's in charge of the combatives division. Then we got Ben Morgan over there, and he's from 1st Ranger Battalion, has a lot of experience, been down range with triple canopy, and he's a tremendous shooter. And the thing is that when people come in and they see me, I'm still that joking guy. If you watch 13 Hours, that's me. I'm that joker. I have fun, and it creates light in situations. There's no bravado. There's no ego. There's no, I know how to shoot better than you. It's, hey, come on, let's come have some fun. Let's go shoot, and maybe we'll learn a thing or two. And then you add Benny Glossop in. If you ever get to come to a Battleline course, you train with Benny Glossop, or you're ever in the Tampa area and you go train with Benny out there in Tampa, you'll find he is the nicest guy in the world. He'll break your arm in a second. He can't. He's a bad dude, but he doesn't come across as that way at all. He's very, very, very humble. Has a lot of humility, and it comes across in his training, and he jokes a lot too. He's the same as me. When him and I are actually in the same training, I'm usually his punching dummy when we go and we do the combative stuff. He beats on me, but we have so much fun. It just puts everybody at ease, and I think that attracts people that normally wouldn't get into firearms and get into combatives, because they don't want to go in and be around all the I call it the pseudo macho. And there are some macho guys in there that actually are macho, but the majority more the pseudo macho. I my ops are blacker than your ops type of guys.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with that. And I love it because you see the confidence in them, and women are tough. The females that come in, They're some tough SOBs, and you know what's also awesome about it is they listen. You know, there is that proof, Ian. I have to say
I've heard that before.
A lot of proof. Yeah, men don't listen as well as women. Doing tactical training, I have to say that is a correct assumption. That is a correct opinion. That is not a stereotype. Women do listen better than men.
Yeah, there's certain things that they just excel at that men don't. I always think back to when I interviewed Dan Gordon, who's a former IDF sniper, now director. He directed The Hurricane with Denzel Washington. A lot of you guys may remember Wyatt Earp. He still does stuff with the IDF. But he was saying that it's women who do the best surveillance of security cameras. And the way that he put it, this is how he said it. He said that men are, can't like stare into a camera all day. Our minds are racing. We're thinking about sex. We're thinking about all different other kinds of things. And they're like, women will notice things going on. They're suspicious that men just won't. And they're better at that job.
I think a lot of it applies to again, it comes right back to humility as well. There's an ego thing when guys come into training courses. Even as much as I tell them, hey, we're not competing against each other, guys. When we get on the line, you are competing against yourself. Don't look at the guy to your right or left. You just look at your target. But I always will catch them. They're looking at everybody else's target, comparing themselves to everybody else, where women don't. Women are like, okay, this is my target. I'm just learning. This is me. This is what I need to do. I don't care what's going on right or left.
It sounds like the guy in the weight room was has to see how much everybody is benching or something.
But same thing. Now, there are exceptions to the rule. Believe me, there are. But for the most part, that stereotype is right. It is exact. And it does. It just makes the courses for me. I feel like I'm giving back a little bit. So maybe it's a little cathartic for me, altruistic for me when I see more women come in. And then I think a lot of it has to do with also having Ben Morgan and Benny Glossop. Those guys, and Ben's the same way. Ben is the most patient teacher in the world. That Ben Morgan will sit there and he knows guns, he knows tactics, he knows how to shoot, and he can explain it so much better than me. He's so much patient. You can see that there's difference between first Ranger Bat and second Ranger Battalion. I'm like, let's just get on the line and start shooting. Okay, if you're screwing up, we'll figure it out on the line. Where Ben's like, okay, this is what we need to do. All right, shoot around. All right, let's see what you did wrong. And he's a better instructor than I am on the line. I'll say it right now. So it's a blessing to have him with Battleline, because I can just turn, Ben, you got him, brother. Take it from here, and then I can just kind of just shoot with the people on the line and do a little bit of instruction. But it has a lot to do with attitude, brother. A lot to do with attitude and no ego. And that's why those guys are Battleline. And that's why Battleline Tactical is a little different. And that's why we're here doing a Battleline podcast, because we've been able to morph, and now we're getting into something else, which I don't think if the ego was too high, we could do that and do it effectively.
Hell yeah, man. Well, if people are interested in that, of course, cristanoperano.net. I know you always put up where the next training course is going to be. I'm really excited to have Pat Smith coming on this show to talk about Sean Smith. And as you said, every time she does a media hit, it's something about Hillary Clinton. It's something to prop up a political candidate. And we kind of just want to know who Sean Smith was. And I'm looking forward to that. But before we get to that, I did want to mention, as I said, we're recording this a little before Thanksgiving, day before Thanksgiving. But for you guys listening, it's Monday. We hope you had a great one. And I always try to remember, there's first responders out there who are working, medical people working, and then, of course, guys and women overseas who aren't going to be seeing their families for a while. And I've never been in that position, although I know you have been, and I'm sure it's very frustrating not seeing your family for months, especially during the holidays.
And me personally, it's you almost become closer to people on those days when you're gone. I remember specifically, and you're right, I have been gone a lot of Christmases, a lot of birthdays. Last year I missed Halloween again because I was actually in South America on a contract, and I remember being in South America missing another Halloween, and my 3-year-old's going, why am I doing this again? How many times have I missed something? But I do remember there have been some Thanksgivings and Christmases where it was extremely special being gone. It was difficult. It was being away from the family, but we had such a tight group of people. And there was one in particular that was in Kandahar. I remember I was working in Kandahar, one of the outside bases. Wasn't at the airfield. We had a base outside of the city. and we were doing Thanksgiving, and sometimes the bases try to make it as homey as possible, so and try to make the holiday special. So we actually did a turkey trot around the base. And I was with some fantastic group of guys. And one of my buddies who has since passed away, Joseph Bixler, we called him X. He was a mentor of mine. I actually learned a lot from him when I started doing global response staff work. I started doing that contract work for the agency, the same stuff I was doing in Libya. Well, Joe was older than me. He had started the contract. He was a former SEAL. And he taught me a lot. So when we got to Kandahar, I'd been working the contract for 2-3 years. Joe, of course, is now the site leader. He's in charge of all the GRS guys there. Well, we were doing this turkey trot. We had another guy by the name of I'll call him Joe. I'm not going to give you his full name, but Joe he was a nutbag. He was a former 10th Special Forces Group guy. Loved Joe, hilarious. So we get out to run this turkey trot because we're away from home. So the base is trying to make it home, and we're doing this 5K turkey trot around the base. And he came out, and I'll post some pictures on Instagram tomorrow of him. He came out with a turkey suit on. He had built a full turkey suit out of cardboard boxes. And so he's coming out with his turkey suit. Me and Joe are standing there, and Bixler, and Bixler and I are looking at other Joe, 10th Special Forces Group going, oh my gosh, what in the world? How did, out of nowhere, and it's the most hilarious thing in the world. And we take off running. So we start the run, and he ran the full thing this Thanksgiving in that turkey uniform out of cardboard box. I remember when he got back, he was so beat up. He's like, that was the stupidest thing I could have done. He had burns all over from the box, just rubbing on his shoulders, on his leg. And it was just, and he had the wings on it and everything. And it was, but when we got done, it really was like, oh my, that was one of the closest teams I've been on because of stuff like that, where you just try to make it homey. You try to make it not so bad when you're gone from home. And I still remember his sunglasses on, just seeing Joe come out. Bixler and I are running, and then X is we're just laughing the whole time. And then, of course, we had some ground branch guys there, some SAID guys there that were on the base. And I remember Joe, me and Joe were running. I'm a good runner. I'm a very good runner. I've been very blessed.
I believe it. You're the only guy who calls me, to talk about the podcast in the middle of a run.
Yep. And I remember one of the ground branch guys was coming up, and GRS and ground branch, we have a friendly rivalry. Normally we've worked together on the outside in the units, but this ground branch guy was coming up, and he was actually trying to win the turkey trot. And I thought it was just for fun. And at that point in time, I was a flyer. I could just fly. And Joe X says, "You are not." Joe's in charge. Joe goes, "Tano, you are not letting Ground Branch beat us." And I said, "Nah, hell no, he's not beating." And I remember he goes, "You take off." And I remember I got a cannon. I mean, it's so motivated. I get motivated now because of him just saying that to me as we're running. He goes, "Take off, Tano. You better not let him win." And I remember, and I took off, and I actually celebrated at the end. And I'll post this picture on Instagram too. I had some Ranger panties on, the little Ranger skivvies. I pulled them up to look like a bikini, and then I tied my shirt into like a halter top so I looked like I had boobs.
Feel free to put it on Instagram, man.
I'm going to, and I did a little happy dance when I won, and I'll post that on. But I'm smiling so much right now because I remember that day, and it was one of the most special days of my life, and I was away from home. And so don't always feel bad for the guys overseas, everyone. Yes, I mean, we love to be home, but we do have some good experiences and that's an experience I'll remember for the rest of my life. And then we fried turkeys and had a fantastic turkey dinner. And it was an amazing experience in Kandahar, Afghanistan. I loved it. I still remember to this day. I can still remember all of it, and even the smells. And I'm glad you brought that up, bro. I did want to tell that story because it was one of the best days of my life. It really was.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, because here I am thinking it's always the worst, and obviously there are people who are experiencing the worst during this time. They're in a firefight or something when they should be. Well,
you have bad. Give me there. I've had some terrible ones too, but it's not always, and it's always how you make of it. You can't control the situation. You can't control the people. One thing you can always control, always, is your attitude. That's one thing you have complete control over. So you can make it as good or as bad as you want to make it. But it's really up to you. It really is.
Absolutely. Well, I know that Pat Smith is standing by. So right before we get to Pat, I, of course, want to mention once again that we're very proud to be sponsored by Fort Scott Munitions glad to have them on board. They're a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. So in plain English, guys, this is the most powerful stuff on the market. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, as well as directly online through www.fortscottmunitions.com. That's Fort Scott, MUNITIONS.com. Use the exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. Only available to listeners of the Battleline podcast. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Kris Paronto, Battleline Tactical, and us, of course, the Battleline podcast. Check them out, fortscottmunitions.com, promo code Battleline. With that, let's get right over to Pat Smith, the mother of Sean Smith, a hero and U.S. diplomat killed in Benghazi in the attack that Kris, of course, experienced as well.
Pat!
Yes.
What's up, Pat? It's Tano. It's Kris. What's going on?
Well, are you in New York now?
As far as you know, I am. I'm not, but Ian is. I'm like you. We don't travel very well, Pat. I don't travel very well either. So I'm on the phone.
Well,
I'm on the phone. I'm home in Omaha right now.
Okay, very good. I'm in San Diego, and it's very nice over here. Everybody else has rain and nastiness, and we have it. Wonderful.
Can you rub it in even more, Pat? Jeez,
Oh,
Pat,
yes, I could. I can. I can really.
I wish I was in San Diego. I mean, I wish I was in San Diego or Florida. I remember Kris and I were talking about, like, if we could move to Florida, we would gladly do the show over there.
I would be more than happy.
I don't know. It's kind of it's too moist in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, everything gets moldy over there.
She does have a point there. So you either got dry with no water in San Diego, or you got too much water in Florida, but you're still warm. My toes never hurt when it was hot and dry or hot and muggy, where my toes are freezing right now in Omaha. So I'll take either. I'm still envying you, Pat.
Get good mark looks.
I'm gonna go get some, because I don't care what I look like. It doesn't make a difference to me. I'm going to. Sorry, hey, Ian. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, man. If that's
the spotlight, man.
Yeah, you had me wonder, man. Like, if the show takes off, is that the plan? Are we moving to San Diego?
We're moving to San Diego. No, we're moving to. Okay,
I like Florida. I am with you. But anyway, weather and all of that aside, I'm sure that Pat Smith is gearing up for Thanksgiving, and we're really excited to have her on. And thanks for joining us. I'm sure most of this audience knows, because they've followed her and what she's been up to. But the mother of Sean Smith, who is a U.S. diplomat, Sean worked as an information management officer with the U.S. Foreign Service, grew up right there in San Diego, served 6 years in the U.S. Air Force, which started in 1995 as a ground radio maintenance specialist, then promoted to staff sergeant in 2000. And as I was kind of saying to Pat, and which is really what you told me, Tonto, is that we kind of want to bring her on because we've seen so many appearances of Pat over the years on Fox and other things, talking about Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. And we'd rather really talk about who was Sean Smith, because I think there's a lot out there about Glenn Doherty and Ty Woods, and a lot of people don't really know who Sean Smith was and what made him just a great American.
That's Pat. That's what I was talking to you about too. We know who was at fault for what happened, and we don't need to beat our head against that anymore. I want to.
Oh yes, we can.
Well, we can't. We can. We'll do that later. But I want to. I want to. And I think a lot of people out there want to know Sean and want to know you. And one thing that has helped me get through a lot of my times is the mothers that have gone through this and have shown tremendous intestinal fortitude to continue to move on. And that shows me that, man, I could be a lot stronger. So I would like to hear, and we talked, I think even in the airport when I called you before, we were talking about when Sean and his buddy, and you were talking about that and how there was something where they came in the house and we were discussing.
I was laughing at I was laughing at that because, yes, talking about Sean, I can't talk about him in the service because he was over there and I was over here, you know.
Well,
but when he was growing up, I had him here for 19 years. I can talk about that pretty much.
Well, that's what I want to hear, especially the baby pictures and all the embarrassing moments. Come on, that's exactly what.
Okay, I'll give you one. I'll give you one. He probably would not want me to say it.
That's what we want then. That is exactly the one that we want right now.
Okay. Well, one day Sean came up to me in the house and said, Mom, could you talk to somebody for me? I said, what do you mean, talk to somebody? And he said, well, they have a couple questions and they don't know who to talk to and they want some straight facts. I said, okay, yes, I can do it. Because Sean and I were very open.
Sure.
But so I said, okay, sure. And he brought this girl in the house.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, it was a good one. I'm not going to keep going.
No, keep going.
No, really. He said, the main question the girl wanted to know is the guy said when they're doing marijuana that she is required to sleep with him because he needs it that bad he can't help himself. Is that true? And I said, no.
Right. The things
I ruined the whole thing.
You saved him from. Oh my goodness. Tell you what, with that kind of stuff out there, my mom, I think I'd be locked in my room for a week to even ask the question like that. So what kind of friends are you hanging out with, Kris? My mom Rita, oh my goodness. So what?
Oh, I talked to Sean about everything.
What? Okay, so
mainly because he had to talk to me. He had no father around.
Well, I did see that in the research that he was an only child, and I mean, I'm an only child, so I think I could relate to that. I've probably told my mom things over the years that my mom will flat out be like, you know, you could whatever you want to do. I just don't want to hear about it sometimes.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Hey, Pat,
I knew all the rotten stuff he did that he wanted to tell me. Let's put it that way.
But you know what? You moms and finding out too. My mom knew a lot more stuff than what I thought she did. All the stuff I thought I was getting away with. No.
Yeah, you didn't, huh?
Moms knew. Yeah, moms knew. They just let me think I was getting over, but I wasn't.
Oh, you're such a sweetheart.
Feel sorry for me now, but my mom, I'm looking back now. Gosh, I thought I was a sneaky kid. I wasn't sneaky at all. They just let me get away with it and learn the hard way. Unless it was really bad, then of course got either at a certain age got my hide tanned a little bit, or you're grounded from your car for a week. So I think with can you remember?
Well, that's the older person. I had Sean before he could drive, pretty much. Sure, when he went in the service, that was something else. I went to visit him wherever he was that I could go.
Well,
that was kind of interesting.
Tell me a story about that, if you don't mind. Where was he first stationed, and maybe one of the first bases that you saw him at? I'd like to know, just from my experience.
Other than the United States, there was Kadena Air Force Base.
Oh, wow.
I went there. I went snorkeling in Okinawa with him.
You went snorkeling in Okinawa. What'd you see? Because I know
nothing. I almost drowned. I don't know how to snorkel.
Your mom, what? Okay, so can you ask her why you got in the water then? If you didn't know how to snorkel, why in the earth are you just?
I had to snorkel. I didn't know how to snorkel. I kept thinking I'm breathing in that water. Because I had a chance to do it. That's why he says, "Come on, let's go." And I said, "Okay." I'm one of those people. And then we went to this one place in Okinawa where they had this mongoose was fighting with a snake. And he said, I don't know what kind. It was a snake. That's all I know. And then the mongoose grabbed that snake, bit off his head, and just sat there and chewed. And then they gave us little snake dust that we can chew on if we wanted to. So I had to try that.
Okay, what did it taste like?
It didn't taste very good. It tastes
Like
tasted
chicken?
like snake.
I don't even know what to say. I'm picturing you doing that because you're out there. Pat and I, we know each other very well, and her and Ty's mom Cheryl, I always call them mama if I can, if they let me do it without embarrassing them. And so
that does embarrass me.
I know. You smack my.
You were telling me I look so gorgeous on the TV. You don't know what makeup does.
What are you talking about?
It's wonderful.
I know. Look at me now. I was trying to get on TV. That's why I don't do it anymore. There's not enough makeup to make me look good at all on TV anymore. I'm trying to picture you. Now I'm trying to picture you eating snake or watching that mongoose kill the snake. And what was Sean just kind of just standing there nonchalantly, or did he want to try to freak you out? Was he trying to take you to all these things just to get a reaction out of you?
Oh no, we did weird things all the time. The time.
That's awesome.
All the time.
See, that's
and it's just I miss him. I just miss him. And we used to do those stuff, and we don't do it now. And anyway, in Okinawa,
that's what people need to know. I really think people need to know. I need to hear that, because to have some connection with you as a mother, and I think that people get away from that, or even the media when we're on it too much, they forget that
they because I'm a mother, they wanted me killed. They wanted me beaten to death because I was talking. I can't believe it. I'm not I'm a mother.
And
one.
you still are by any means. And from what she's getting on with that, Ian, is and we're with it's the politics of people that don't like what took place, and
sure.
And it can get that ugly. But all you got to do is call me. I'm right there for you. I'll take them on. I told you that a million times. You called me Tig or Oz or even Boone.
Wait a minute. I had a problem a little while ago, and I tried contacting everybody. And the only one that got back to me was Tig.
Ooh.
You didn't get back to me.
You have
some dirt going on.
Now, where did you try to contact me? If it was on social media, I didn't even have any of that at the time. So look at.
I have no idea.
Well, you have my new cell phone now, and if you did, I humbly apologize to you. So if it ever happens again, well, there you go. But you got one of us, and Tig's twice the size of me anyway, so he could probably stand at the doorway and it'd be fine. But that it will never happen again. And offline, I'd like to know because I don't even know what happened. Was that? But it
was a scam. It was a scam.
Man. That's too bad.
He was a general, he said, and he needed help.
Oh my, yeah. There's a lot of generals.
And I went to his web page, and everything looked for real. Everything looked for real everywhere, but I just didn't trust him.
You didn't give money to him or anything. Don't ever do that. Anybody? No. All you listeners out there, don't ever do that. If people say, especially if it's from a general or from one of us or from me, don't ever give money to people. And
I don't have money.
You're smart though.
They'd have a hard time getting money out of me.
Yeah, there are, especially with social media.
All I can say is God bless you.
Yeah, there are just so many scams out there. But hey, getting into kind of some backstory here, Pat. If you could tell us some background on Sean that I was interested in, and I think the listeners would be like, at what age did he say, "Mom, I want to join the military"? And what was your reaction to that?
That was as soon as he got out of high school, he wanted to join the Navy, and I wouldn't let him because I asked him. I said, "Why?" I said, "Have you checked out the other ones?" He says, "No, I haven't, but I think I should. I can't get into any of the others, so I'm going to go into the Navy." I said, "Look, until you check with everybody else, I'm not signing any paper." They wanted me to sign for him, and I refused to do it. So a month or so went by, and he finally, after a little while, he was mad at me. He was very mad at me. Then he called me, and he said, "Mom, guess what? The Air Force called me. They want me to join the Air Force." And he said he couldn't believe it. He says, "I never went to college. They only want college people." And I said, "See, all you got to do is try, kid."
And at that point, you were on board?
Yeah. Oh, always.
And that.
Always. For whatever you want. I had nothing. I couldn't offer him anything.
Oh, you're offering him your wisdom, and you talked to him to not go in the Navy. You went to the Air Force. So, I'm sorry, for all you Navy guys out there, that wasn't a shot at you at all. But the Air Force and everybody in the service knows the Air Force has more money. They got more stuff. They got more. You're going to be better taken care of in the Air Force just because they have just the funds to take care of you. So that was pretty impressive right there.
There's so many different things with Sean in the service too. I was so proud of him. He would tell me, Mom, I got, I don't know what they call it, the first stripe of some kind, because he was made in charge of the lunchroom.
Oh, he probably an airman first class. There's different airman first class. So he got his airman first class before. Yeah, tell me, I want to know that, because that's a big deal when you get that first rank and you start to move up in rank. It feels good. So what did he say when he called you?
He loved it. He loved it. He can get all the food he wants. And he can eat before everybody else.
And in the Air Force, that is a big deal, because that is some good chow. Good chow in the Air Force. I tell you what. Go ahead, Ian. I know I'm monopolizing it. Yours, Ian,
no, not at all. I mean, I'm
to tell me. Shut up, Tano.
No, this is great. I love hearing these stories, and I think the audience does too. And kind of as we said previously, rightfully so. We hear a lot about the story of Glenn Doherty and Ty Woods, and kind of some of these other guys. We don't really get to know the backstory. So I'm wondering from there, him transitioning to becoming a diplomat. What was that like, and was he excited for it?
That was interesting. He called me one day.
And Pat, if you can't, we want you to talk, but we're not forcing you. You say as much as you can.
Oh no, I can talk. I can talk. I have no problem here.
Okay, I figured.
If I had a problem, I just wouldn't say it, or I'd sit there and cry at you, because I'm very well. I can't contain my tears a lot of times.
Pat, I know this. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm already preempted it right now. but go ahead. I'm sorry. You're awesome. Keep going. I'm loving it.
I don't know what I was talking about.
No, we were talking about his transition from the Air Force to becoming a diplomat.
Yes. He called me and he says he was contacted by somebody, and there's a good chance that he's going to go in the diplomatic corps afterwards. That they were already talking to him about it. I believe he was assigned to it even before he was out of the other one, because they wanted him so bad.
Sure.
He designed, in Korea, I guess, in radio communications, ground radio communications, they test radios with the Koreans, and they did things like that. And he says, Mom, they were having one of these tests. He says, they didn't even have radios. The Koreans, they were trying to teach him how to use the radios and everything, and they didn't even have the right radios. And so he says he complained about it, and they said, okay, if you can do better, you go do it. So he designed the whole next one.
Wow. And for those who don't know, as I mentioned, Sean was a radio maintenance specialist, so that was his field.
No, he was an expert.
He hated it. He didn't want ground radio communications. He wanted computer. But he started out in ground radio communication. He got good. And I said, keep trying it, Chuck. There's something in there that you're going to get into and you're going to love. Just pick a spot you like and be better at it than anybody else. And that's what he did.
Did he end up? Again, I didn't know he didn't enjoy it because he was so good at it. And that's the military too, or government. If you get into something and you don't like it, but you're good at it, you usually have a hard time getting out and doing something new because you're so good at it, they're going to keep you there. Did he end up, and I didn't know that, did he end up just finally enjoying it, or did he just bite the bullet and say, you know what, I'm good at this, so I'm going to stay in the IT world?
He just went up the rank and went from one thing to another, and just, that was it. Like, for example, one time I was on a boat, on a barge in the middle of San Diego Bay, shooting off fireworks. And I like blowing things up, by the way.
Nice.
my friend Don here he's a big shot in that he was a licensed pyro, and I was on his team, on his crew. But anyway, so I was on this barge, and I called Sean, and I said, "Hi, baby, how you doing?" He says, "Doing just wonderful." I said, "Where are you?" He says, "Moscow." I said,
Wow.
Why are you in Moscow? He says, "Colin Powell had to go to Moscow. When he went to Moscow, Sean was in that group."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "What's it like there?" He says, "Very, very smoky." You look out the window and all you see is smoke everywhere. You can't even breathe.
Yeah, and that that says a lot for just because they have to keep themselves warm, keep fire. They always have fires going, and there's not
I don't know. All I know is he says it's nasty, and he told me a bunch of little teeny tiny stories about that. But this is what I was in with Sean. I talked to him almost every day, and nobody knew that, and they thought I didn't communicate with him.
Well, then that's why I wanted to have you on, because every time I saw, even that last one I saw on Fox, where like here's Pat on again, they're asking her the same question, same soundbite, and you and I have talked offline, and I know you had stories about Sean. I know there were many. I'm like, gosh, I want people. Yeah, and I
didn't even tell you about you. No? I didn't even tell you about going to South Africa to visit him. Or to The Hague or to Montreal. I've been to all those places to visit him.
Well, you have here you are right here. Tell me about it. And then whatever we don't get to, we'll talk about.
I bought
later.
Boots in The Hague.
You bought goats? What did you do with the goats?
Boots,
I gotta know.
Boots.
Oh, I thought you said goats. Like, why are you buying goats in there?
No, boots to put on my feet.
But okay. What kind of boots are they? I got to hear this story.
They were just fancy boots. No, just. That's because he sent me what do you call those wooden shoe things? But these were made out of material.
You're talking about
house slippers.
The clog, like the not the hay.
Yeah.
They're not clogs. Or are they called clogs? Or is that just a universal name for wooden shoes? It's clogs. I think I know what you're talking about.
I got those too. I got the cloth, like CLOTH cloth.
Cloth, okay. Cloth.
And some made out of, some are wooden shoes. I've got the wooden shoes too. I got those in the hay.
Wow, that can't be comfortable. What do those feel like wearing?
They are. You cannot wear those things. I don't care what they say. They say it's good for gardening. I put them on. My poor feet.
Oh my gosh, I know. Oh my, you can't. I got hammer toe. I ain't putting no wooden shoes on these hammer toes. These things will be broken in a second.
Probably.
Now, see, that's one thing about the diplomatic corps. Whether I care, and I don't care about the infrastructure about State Department. I think it's a clown show over there. But I do always say, if you're gonna, when people ask me, should I get in the government service or should I get in the military? I'm like, you know what? Don't worry about the head shed. They're screwed up there. They don't know what they're doing. They're just politicians trying to win hearts and minds within their own little group up in DC. But the experiences that you get going to all these places and seeing all these things and seeing all these different countries, that's amazing. So I never tell, nope, don't join us. Yeah, but just serve. Just keep your feet on the ground. Don't worry about what's going up in DC because they're broken. They're not. They're
right. Just have an adventure.
Exactly.
That's what I told Sean all the time. Just come on, let's have an adventure.
Do you miss being able to go all over the world with your son?
Yeah, of course I do. But it was, like I said, I went to South Africa when the first baby was born. Wow. Then I went to. Oh, that was wonderful. But it took so long to get there.
Well, did you go to Johannesburg, Durban? Did you go down to Cape Town? I'm sure you went to Cape Town. I've worked in South Africa.
South Africa where was that? Johannesburg.
Johannesburg.
Yeah, I think that's where. Yeah.
Oh, that's
where it was. And I went on a safari.
Oh.
Sean took me on a safari over there. We were going in the car, and I was within 10 feet of a lion just laying there.
That's awesome.
I've got a picture of me with lions crawling on top, little baby lions crawling on top of me.
You know what, Pat?
I bet nobody else has that.
You got to send that to us. We'll put that up on our Instagram.
You got to send that. And you know one thing too is that honestly, Pat, I know your spunkiness. I know your feistiness. I know you're tough. So if you and a lion got in a fight, I don't know. I might put my money on you. You're pretty tough. I should give that lion a run for its money. So I wouldn't be too worried about that, watching lions.
Well, the lion that I saw, he was about 10 feet away from me, and they said, don't get out of the car. I said, you betcha I'm not going to get out of the car. I'm no lion's breakfast.
Oh, my God. I'd love to see the little cub pictures. That's still one thing on my bucket list that I have not done yet is go on a safari. I'd love to go, and it's going to happen.
Oh, that was great. That was so great. You saw the animals running around right there. Right there.
It would be cool for you to go at this point, Kris, because like I know at this point you've pretty much sworn off doing any more contracting or anything like that. Yeah. So I feel like for you just to go with Tanya, your wife, and your kids would probably be an awesome experience and not have to worry about anything else. Just as a fun vacation.
No, you're right, brother. I'm this everything we do now, like we're doing now, me talking to Pat right now, and Ian running the podcast, and all of us talking together. This is gravy. This is all just okay. This is gravy now. Let's just have some fun in life. And with the South Africa, I always want to know about the safaris because Pat's right. Where'd you have to fly into? Did you have to fly into like to London and then fly down to South Africa, or did you have to connect twice? Because I hear the flight is a bear just to try to get there. It's just unbelievable.
It was terrible. I think it was London that we went into. We had to fly to London and go there. But that's forever.
And that is such a long
Switzerland. Don says it was Switzerland.
Oh my, that's even, and that's just, it's hours and hours. So if we go, it's got to be worth it.
It's worth it.
Well, then I'm sold. Pat, I'm sold. When I go to South Africa,
it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Just don't let the kids out of the car.
Hopefully, I am a very protective father. The kids ain't getting out. I'm not getting out of the car. I see a lion there 10 feet. No, we'll
there was
stay
a
right
bunch
here.
of. There wasn't just one. There was a whole bunch of them. There was about 8 of them laying around, and the lions, which is funny, the big manes on them and everything. They lay on their back to show off their masculinity, you know.
I gotta be honest, like hearing these stories from Pat, I feel like Sean is a much better son than I am. I mean, if I'm traveling all over the globe, I'm sure him, single guy, meeting beautiful women, I'm not bringing my mom on these trips. I say, full credit to him, man, for doing that.
I went to visit him.
So you just said I'm coming. I'm taking the plane and I'm gonna be there.
Wow. Oh, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
I don't know. I mean, Kris, did you invite your mom anywhere when you were stationed overseas, or were you like, I think I'll be all right?
My mom really, I don't think we're coming to Kabul or Baghdad or
exactly
or Tripoli or Sana'a would be where I'd want my mom to be at. Granted, they did have a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I've said that to a lot of people. Don't believe me. They did have an outstanding, real franchise Kentucky Fried Chicken in the middle of Sana'a until Sana'a, we ruined that country. But that would have been cool.
Yeah, but
no, I wouldn't.
Now, in Iraq, Sean was stationed in Iraq, but I didn't visit him there.
Yeah, Pat's probably not a good idea to visit Iraq, especially at that time.
He said, Mom, I work in a palace and I live in a trailer.
That's all of us right there. When we finally got
he says, I said, why do you do that? He said, some of the guys sleep inside and some in the trailer. He says, but they snore a lot. He says, I'd rather stay in the trailer.
That is such that, Ian, I'm telling you what, that is the worst thing, because that's, I'm
telling you the truth, huh?
You are spot on. When we first got there, you just live in either a bombed out building, or maybe there was a tent set out on some front lawn of the palace if you're in Baghdad or wherever else. But when they started bringing the trailers in, they're basically little Connex boxes is what they're called. They're basically the back end. It looks like the back end of an 18-wheeler trailer. And you get stuck with a roommate, because you have to have a roommate. You got to bunk up. And I remember one time we had 5 people in one of these little things. If one person snores, you're screwed. And I remember not sleeping for like 2-3 days, and then going and laying out on the grass with the lawn chair and sleeping outside because the snoring. You can't get away, and it just resonates and reverberates in those tent trailers. And I would be so pissed because you know, I had to get out. I had to go outside what we call the green zone. You had to get out in the red zone. And a lot of you guys have worked down range, you understand that. Or if you've worked in Hilla, or if you worked at, you know, especially if you've worked in Ramadi at Shark Base or in these places like that, you get out there. You have to. You want to be well rested because they're very dangerous. And not being able to sleep because some jerk snoring the whole time. Oh, pisses me off. Now I have like an anger when I hear people snoring. I just want to punch him in the face. I was like, shoot, because it just,
you want to smother them.
I do. I just pisses me off because, you know how much you guys didn't let me sleep, or I wanted to. And 9 times out of 10, it's some dude that snores. There's snores out there. You got to have CPAP machines, but guys, 9 times out of 10, it's somebody that probably needs to get on the treadmill for a little bit.
Yeah,
that's why you're snoring. Gosh, just go get in the gym. You're snoring, just makes me mad. And if you want guys out there that are mad at me for saying that, I don't give 2 shits. Be mad at me then, because
I believe
you stopped me from sleeping.
One time I was talking to him, and he was in his trailer, and in Iraq over there, and he says, "Mom, just in case I have to go offline, just hang in there for a while."
Because of what
I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, sometime I do." He says, "But yeah, you'll hear it coming in."
He didn't want to tell you, but he was telling you. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there talking to him. He says, "Hold on there. I'll be right back." And all you hear is, "Ooh."
You can hear the incoming sirens going off.
Wow.
And the incoming whatever it was, the bomb, and it went boom like that.
Yeah, normally it was either 107 rockets, or it was mortars that were coming in. And
whatever it was, I thought, okay, and I'm listening, and finally I hear, "I'm back."
Okay, got to ask you, because my mom never had to. I actually saved my mom from that quite a few times where she didn't have to hear. I was always very lucky to get her off the phone for whenever I was Skyping or something. But I want to know, as a mom, because my mom never had to experience that with me because it just didn't happen. What did you feel? What did you feel like when you heard? Were you just okay, or were you scared? I'm assuming you were probably scared a little bit, a little worried for your son. I would be worried for my son if that was going on. Or were you just oblivious?
Not really. Not really. I trained myself. He said he'll be back. I said, okay. He'll be back. He was back in just a moment or two. If it would take a little while, that would be different. But,
yep.
He's there. Just like people say that I'm angry because he got killed over there. He got in Benghazi.
Yeah.
That he was sent there. No, I'm not, because that's what he was doing. I don't have anything against that. I have against Hillary for killing him.
Yeah,
he can't. I know he has to do that kind of thing, and I think that's okay. That's what he chose to do.
And Ian, going on that, and we won't go down that road too much, but with her saying that, with Pat saying that, and I'm going to say that the people out there, I'm saying, well, I was never angry. In fact, I kept working, and I went back to Sanaa. I went back to Yemen after Benghazi because I love my job. I wasn't angry of what happened that night. I got angry after, when they started to call us liars, or when the politicians
exactly.
That's when I got it. And I even told them, I said, guys, I will go away. I will not say, because I love my job. Even if behind closed doors, I said this to my CIA head shed people, just tell me you're sorry. That's all I want. Just tell me, apologize. It doesn't even need to be public. Just tell me you're sorry, and I will be. And they couldn't even do that. So, Pat, I feel you. I understand where you're coming from. And all of us would tell you the same thing. We're not angry for what happened. That's the job. That's what we did. That's what we signed up for.
Yeah.
But
I was not worried.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the after.
I was, trepidatious, but I wasn't really worried because that's what he did, and usually he'd come back and everything would be fine.
And what I tell you, Ian, about how women are a hell of a lot stronger than men. Oh my gosh, my son, I can't even imagine. He possibly want to be a ranger. I'm like, no, son, you're going to go play golf. I am not going to worry about you every day. But moms, I can't. Now I feel bad for my mama, what I put her through. Women are just so tough. And Pat, if you're going to say trepidation, you got to preempt that, because a lot of our Ranger listeners, we don't know the meaning of that word. So I'm going to look up for it right now. A feeling of fear or agitation about something that may happen. There you go, guys. For all my knuckle draggers out there, that's what trepidation means. You use the plural form trepidatious. So I just wanted to put that out there for all my knuckle dragger listeners out there.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm going to speak English from now on.
I love it, and I love your attitude towards it, because I think that's what the audience needs to hear. I mean, he was doing what he loved regardless, and wrapping things up here, I'm just wondering, 7 years plus after the fact, Kris is still here telling his story, and all the other guys. I mean, what are the main things that you want people to know about Sean? Outside
of Hillary, it was Hillary's fault, which we all know, and the administration.
He volunteered.
We do, Pat. I want
he volunteered for everything that he did.
Yes, sir.
How can I knock that?
Ma'am, you're awesome. I just love people hearing about that, and hearing you, and hearing the mothers, the Gold Star mothers, of which you are. That they are.
Oh, by the way, they try to get me to not be a Gold Star mother too. They tried that.
No, that ain't gonna happen.
What's the story? What's the story behind that, Pat?
Yeah, the story was they said that he wasn't in the service at that time. He was only a diplomat.
That's not service. I know a lot of ambassadors that would claim, especially, and they're actually even on the impeachment thing right now. Will tell you, wait a second, I'm a diplomat. I am in service right now. They'll tell you right now they are. No, that's a slap in the face. And believe me, any of the listeners that we have out there, especially us, we don't think that by any means. I don't at all, Pat.
I know that.
Awesome.
I know that just because they say stuff doesn't mean it's for real.
You're right.
I know that.
And you are tough. You're harder than woodpecker lips. You are a tough woman. And I love
right.
it.
Hear me roar.
And you have now you can get a hold of me. You know where I'm at, and I will never. Yeah, don't let if a general. I got to look at it, because
give me the last two numbers of your phone, because I've got two different numbers there, and I know you canceled one, and I don't know which one.
He could text you when we're offline, because our listeners are gonna start texting both of you. Who knows?
Pat, I'm gonna text you right when we get done here, Pat, and you're gonna have it. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, and get rid of the one that you had to get rid of the one, but I want to make sure, and I would like to know, because I didn't know about that. I had no idea about this general. Maybe text me this guy's name if you could, and I'll do some background
General
and see what
Maddox.
Maddox, I don't know. I'll have to look.
Kris is going to show up to his door with the guys that you train with.
Oh, there's a story behind it. Now he spells his name two different ways, and I tracked that guy down trying to figure out who he was.
You know what? Do me a favor. Let's just because I think it's important here, and Ian, I know we're wrapping up a little bit, but kind of tell the story. So if this guy tries to do the stolen valor thing again, or get money from people again, people know, because I get that happening all the time, and I really do, and it's good to at least put it all out in a big forum like this, so people, if he does it again, they know to call foul. Well, they know to draw red flags on it.
Somebody put it on his website.
Okay, General Maddox. So it wasn't General Maddox. It was somebody posing as General Maddox on his website.
Well, there's MADDOX and MADDUX.
Yeah. Okay. And which one was it? It was MADDUX? Was that the one?
UX is, I believe, the actual general, and the OX was the one saying he was.
So you're talking about John, Major General, MJ. That's MADDUX. For you guys out there, MADDUX is John Maddox, is Major General Maddox. The MADDOX, I don't know who the heck that is. So that's the.
That's the same. That was the guy pretending he was Maddox. He says he was the same guy.
I got you. Now, well, yeah. So I want to be clear. If we get a chance, we'll put it, because if I'm right, there is a David Maddox, but I don't know. I don't know which has social media, which doesn't. I don't follow generals. I'll be honest, I don't follow any of them. So a lot of them are just except for General Tata, right?
Yeah, because he came on. Great guy. Hey, if you sign a book to me that says I'm your favorite podcast host, I gotta, as I said, kiss your ass a little bit. So,
yeah, but we'll keep an eye out and. Yeah, please.
Okay,
Pat,
I'm over that. And like I said, Tig helped me out when I was being hassled by this guy. So,
and my boy Tig's got a great heart, man. Tig does have an amazing heart, even if he is a big old redneck from Colorado. He is an amazing.
Aren't you a redneck from Colorado, Kris? Are you?
I am a short, small redneck in Nebraska. So he's a huge redneck. I'm a short little redneck.
But you lived in Colorado, right?
Yes.
Both of you guys are in the middle of snow.
Well, that's Oz and Tig are still in Colorado in snow. I'm just in Nebraska freezing. We don't get the pretty snow. We just freeze. So, but yeah, you're right, Ian. I was born.
Come on down to San Diego. We got sun down here.
Hey, Ian, work on them sponsorships, brother, so we can move to San Diego.
Yeah, no,
Ian,
let's do it. But
I
no.
got an extra room over here.
Yes, right.
But seriously, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, hearing these stories really does let us know that Sean was a guy gone way too soon. I mean, at the age of 34, had an amazing career. Sounds like he lived life to the fullest. I usually have anyone plug anything that they're up to, but I don't know. Is there anywhere that people could donate in, remembrance of your son or anything like that, Pat?
No, I don't know of anything.
I think for Pat, just everybody, please, offer Pat thanks. Great thanks. Pat's amazing. And outside of the show, I've been personal friends with Pat, even though I went MIA there for about a year but I went MIA to everybody, Pat, not just you. So I'm sorry.
So did I for a while. Like I told you before, I had a kind of a nervous breakdown there for quite a bit.
Yeah. Next, I'll get you the number. You reach out to me because you're family to me. Always. And
you betcha.
I know you will. And everybody out there, just Pat, if now you know Pat, now you know Sean. You don't know the sound bites. At least you know a little bit of Pat.
If you want awesome any more stories of Sean, just give me a call. I'll be more than happy to.
You're gonna be hey Ian, we'll make Pat a continued guest.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it sounds like that we just hit the iceberg of these stories, but
a tip.
Thank you so much.
By the way, I
want
to know how I can listen to this broadcast. You say I can get it some other way. You got to let me know.
We're gonna have it up.
I don't do things very easy.
No, not a problem. We're gonna have it up on Monday. I'll shoot you over the link. It's up on anywhere you could find podcasts. But I believe you're on an iPhone, right?
Apple.
Yeah.
You're gonna Apple, yeah.
Not an Apple, it's an Android.
No, she's on an Android. All right. I'll send you over a link to either SoundCloud or YouTube or something like that. But you'll be able to listen when it goes up live on Monday. And thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And if you have that picture of you with the Lions, send that over. Yeah. We'd love to put that up.
I gotta see that.
Okay, Pat. Yeah, send it to Tonto. I have your email, don't I, Tonto?
I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna text you all that when we get off here, Pat. The right, so you have the right phone number, and you're gonna have my email, and then also Ian has your phone number as well, so he'll text you the information too. But man, I love you, Pat. I really glad we got to talk because it's been a while since we really got to sit down and talk. You're awesome. You're amazing.
Yeah, you get tired of me. Talk to you later, love.
All
right. Thank you so much.
Happy Thanksgiving, Pat.
Bye-bye.
Happy Thanksgiving. Great appearance by Pat there. I didn't bring this up because I feel like it was probably outside her wheelhouse, but like in my research about Sean Smith, apparently like a super avid gamer, like really well known in the gaming community.
Yeah.
And they like mourned the loss of him when he died in Benghazi.
Well, he was actually playing, and I forget because I don't play that. But I'm a little bit of a gamer, but I don't play what he was playing. But he was actually online playing the game when the attack happened, and he was telling it actually is cryptic, and I'd have to search the exact words, but I'm paraphrasing it.
I think I could find it because I know exactly what you're talking about because I was looking this up, and I mean To me, it's, the last thing I wanted to be doing is playing video games in the middle of a firefight, but that's just me, I guess.
Well, yeah, that was how, and getting into just the tactical aspect, and not all the damn political BS that all these people are in DC that have no clue what was going on there. If they don't listen, if you don't listen to myself or Oz or Tig or Boone, or you don't listen, and you don't, the movie spot on, the book spot on, then you don't know what's happening. But bottom line is that they were so awesome at surveillance. They were so good at the surveillance aspect of it. You still there?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. That they were able basically to almost walk through the front gate before the diplomatic security agents that were there and Sean and the ambassador knew that the attack was even beginning. So they got it was essentially perfect. You want to look at that without having all the advantage that we do with night vision, being able to use helicopters to get into a compound for surprise, shock, and awe. But you always want that surprise. You want that speed. You want that violence action. They had all of that on that initial entry into the consulate. So by the time they got on, yeah, Sean was in the middle of the game, but he didn't even know the attack was, because they had started the attack, and 15 seconds later, Sean's like, "Oh my gosh, we're getting attacked." By that time, it was too late because they were already through the front gate and already assaulting the front of the ambassador's compound.
Yeah, so
basically the villa.
I'm not much of a gamer. My gaming is like I still play Nintendo 64. I'm strictly Mario Golf and Mario Kart. Those are the greatest.
That's classic, though, dude.
I know it's good. So I'm not really familiar with what he was into, but just looking it up here, he was a part of the EVE online gaming community.
Yeah,
which I'll be honest, I know nothing about. But what happened was, just looking here. On the day of his death, Smith typed a message to the director of his EVE Online gaming corporation that read, "Assuming we don't die tonight, we saw one of our police that guard the compound taking pictures." So, I mean, it's just pretty crazy that he was writing that in the online community. I mean, I don't even think I'd want to be posting about stuff, but I guess it was a huge part of his life.
Well, yeah, and you get a little bit acclimated because he had been maybe not going to the war-torn countries, but still deploying and going to places overseas. You're always, you don't want to think the worst is happening. So I can almost hear the way he was thinking, because I've thought like this before, and it's just turned out lucky the other ways, where you're like, it's no big deal. But in the back of your head, your spider sense is tingling. Your body's going, man, there's something not right. And then it turns into what happened that night. Where other times it could turn into anything, but you just don't pay attention to it. Not because you're not thinking anything's going on. You just, God, man, I don't want to think the worst right now, because if you thought like that every day, you wouldn't be able to get to the next day. If you thought every little nuance that was out of the ordinary or out of whatever just didn't feel right, if you thought everything didn't feel right every day, you drive yourself crazy. So you kind of have to go, it's probably nothing.
Yeah, and listening to Pat's stories, this was not the first time the guy has been in the middle of a firefight. So.
Well, I think he's been mortared. That's different though. And that's just, again, and not playing the bravado card.
Yeah, no, I just mean that the guy has been in war zones. I think people think diplomat, and he's, it sounds like he went to all these beautiful places, but he also saw the ugly side of the world for sure, and was not the first time.
No, you're right. So it's just one of those things. It's just shitty. Excuse my language, but it just is. It's terrible that it happened that way. It did, especially when the RSO and Eric Nordstrom out there in Tripoli, and Greg Hicks, who was the deputy basically ambassador. He was the charge d'affaires there, the second in charge, the deputy chief of mission out there in Libya, when the warning signals are there, and they were putting them up to the State Department. They were putting them up to Patrick Kennedy and Charlene Lamb. Those are still two names that are completely responsible, that were along with Hillary Clinton but those are the two undersecretaries that had a lot to do with the failures there that night. And their names don't get mentioned too much, but I will.
Yeah.
Just that they had been putting the warning signs up and saying, hey, we need this. This is we're undermanned. We don't have enough weapon systems. Hey, there was alert. They could attack a facility here in Libya, in Benghazi, within the next couple of weeks. We need to up our security. And essentially the State Department did the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And they pulled the ambassador's personal PSD team out, which was a bunch of pipe hitters. They were awesome guys. They were from 10th Special Forces Group. He had a personal security detail that were active duty special Green Berets, active duty 10 Special Forces group. And actually that was the commanders in extremis force that actually had tried to get back to us that night as well, and were held up after they got to the forward operating base. They were the ones that were trying to respond when we were getting hit, and they were told to stand down. And people can argue all they want about it. Hey, you can listen to the people that were there, or you can listen to the people in DC and all the pundits out there. They were told to stand down. But that is what it is. The big thing is that Sean and even more so Pat, just amazing human beings. She's I love talking to Gold Star mothers because they're so strong, brother. They make me look like I'm just Mr. Sally Pants here, because I can't even imagine what they have to go through daily, and she just handles it with class. She does it. When she's on Fox, they put her in a corner, or when she's on CNN, they put her in a corner, and I hate that. But when you just talk to her, now you know what Pat is. Yeah. She's just an amazing person, and sounded like a fantastic mom too. Wow.
Yeah, I agree, man. I enjoyed speaking with her. But we have plenty of awesome guests on the horizon from really all walks of life. But I got to tell you guys this funny story that Kris knows. I come in from Long Island to record here at Gotham Studio. I get off the train, and there's actually a lot of police presence right now, I think because people are taking the trains in for the holidays and everything, and I think it's just an extra police presence in general.
What do you think? Is it the Thanksgiving parade? Isn't the Thanksgiving Day parade, or is that not New York City? I'm off on my
East Coast. It is New York City. I just think it's in general. People traveling like crazy. Penn Station is packed. But anyway, I see this guy who, is very recognizable, huge police officer, and I had to do a double take. And one of the first guys I followed from our account on Instagram was J.W. Cortez, who I was not aware is still a police officer. And sure enough, I look at his name tag and it says Cortez. And I had to say, hey, are you J.W. Cortez? Of course, kind of knowing who he was. And I said, I'm doing a new podcast with Kris Paronto. And he was like, I would love to come on, man. And he's actually messaging me on the Instagram right now and saying, let's coordinate and make it happen. And for people who don't know JW is a former Marine, a first responder, and what many of you guys probably know him for is he played the part of Detective Alvarez on the show Gotham. So he's doing some really great stuff in acting, and since he's right here in New York City, I was like, we got to get this guy on. So I'm excited to have him on as a future guest.
No, and that, guys, if there's anybody out there, with me and Ian, we just like stories. We like to talk to people. I think if you ever want to be on the show, for those out there, and you think you have a good story, and Ian, I'm putting you on blast here since you're the one that manages all that stuff.
Yes, I mean, because here's the thing. I will say, keep in mind, Kris and I have plenty of people in mind. And you know what? One guy, for example, who I know was at your training course, former Border Patrol agent, went through a crazy story. I've messaged him, and I've said that we'll definitely get him on at some point. But then there's a few other people who messaged me. Like, for example, I have this message: I'd love to be a guest in the podcast. I know nothing about this person, why they would be a good guest. So, like, we want to get people on with interesting stories, and I'm going to be completely honest. If it's someone in the New York City area, I like to get them on first and foremost if they could be here.
It really is better.
Yeah, and if it's someone high profile that's well known, that has a great story, we love that stuff too. I mean, we're definitely up to talking to the average American who's got something interesting, but I do try to keep in mind what's going to be most interesting for the audience. And, for example, Mark Slaughter from Slaughter, who you hear on the outro music, was texting with him, and he was like, I'd love to come on. And I think everybody, especially if you grew up in the early 90s, knows Up All Night, and they know Fly to the Angels. And Mark is a huge supporter of our military. So I was like, let's get him on.
And he was if he probably didn't remember it, he was at the Lincoln Park Barn there in Grand Junction, Colorado, when I was in high school. Slaughter came through. And if people go through Grand Junction, Colorado, especially if you stay out there in the Clifton area, man, that's hanging out by the tree at high school time, smoking with your cut-off winger shirts, man. So believe me, I know Slaughter is going to it'd be cool to talk to, because it reminds me, those sort of things remind me of my past and growing up, and it really does. And yeah, Slaughter's the hairband days, man. We look at that time, it was like, these guys spandex for this, but now I look back and I'm like, that's when bands could play. Those guys rocked, and they, like Motley Crue, they put on makeup and all this, but they could kick your ass.
Slaughter was kind of like the tail end of that, though, too, because if you know the history, Mark was in a group called the Vinnie Vincent Invasion with Vinnie Vincent, who was a guitarist for Kiss at the time. And
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. So he left Kiss, started Vinnie Vincent, and those guys were full on hair metal, makeup, all of that. Slaughter formed in like 1990. And they kind of dropped a lot of that. If you look, I mean, they're, Mark is in the Fly to the Angels video in a leather jacket, which he could probably tell the story. He said was lent to him by Gene Simmons. And they did look a little bit more badass. They kind of dropped a little bit of that. But I could tell you this, man, Mark is a class act. Anytime that they play Mohegan Sun by me, he gets me like right on the floor. I got to hang out backstage with them. Dana Strum, I don't even drink, and Dana Strum handed me a full bottle of Absolute vodka, and he said, put this in your pocket, you're good to go, man. And I have still not drank it. I just have it on, one of my stands just to remember that night hanging out with Slaughter. But and I can tell you this, every single night they play Fly to the Angels, they dedicate to our men and women serving, and they'll bring up service members, while they play that song. So Mark is a huge supporter of our troops.
That's amazing, bro. You're the boss, bro. Like I always say, dude, I'm just a squirrel. This is your world, brother. Whatever you decide.
This is fully both of us, man. And like I said, when you said, I was like, full, absolutely. So,
but if it would have been somebody, you would have been, one thing I got out there is if there's somebody that's a subject matter expert in a field that you are not, you always let them have the reins. You do not try to control something you have nothing about. Just like if we're going to clear a house, Ian, don't you tell me how to clear a house.
Exactly.
I am not going to tell you how to run a podcast or a radio show. And that is something that all you business people out there, or even you military people, that is one of the biggest lessons learned. Check your ego out the door. And if somebody knows more than you do, you let them in a particular area, you let them handle it and do it. And that's why I think this is fun for me. This is why it's working out. I think it's doing very well, in my opinion, because I'm having fun. So that's the biggest thing. I'm happy. You know what you're doing. Take it, brother. You tell me who we want on, and I'll throw you an idea. If you don't like it, you'll tell. And believe me, Ian's still a straight up New Yorker. If he doesn't agree with something, he'll tell me. He's like, nah, probably not a good idea. Oh, shit, you ass. Why you got to talk to me like that?
I think, we both kind of see the same in terms of who we want on, because you and I are very similar, both into fitness, both into rock music. We want to bring on some directors, and we wanted to expand outside of just the stereotypical vet bro lane, although we like that stuff too. So
we like that stuff too, but we're not the stereotypical vet bro. And people that actually come and meet me and train me, I am the typical Tano that I parody that vet bro stuff. That's why we're the Mickey Mouse. I love Mickey Mouse anyway, but that's why I do the Mickey Mouse. That's why I danced in front of cameras. That's why I'm a jokester. That's why because there's too much of that. There's too much, and there's too much of the ego out there. There's too much of the macho-ness out there. The guys that I was always worried about, and I learned the best from, and I was always a little bit, I don't want to say scared of, but I would keep an eye on them, were the funny ones that could joke around and goof, but to have that confidence in them. Those are the ones that are like, shit, that dude's a badass. Yeah. I know he's a badass because he doesn't care what people think about him. He's saying what's on his mind, and he's able to joke and make fun of himself as well. Self-deprecating humor. He's able to make fun of himself. Yeah. I know that dude knows what he's, and 9 times out of 10, there's always that one exception, but 9 times out of 10, I was spot on. And that's who I wanted to be like. I wanted to emulate after those guys. So
some of the guys I've met are a combination of both, I'll say, and I'll give you a name right here. Dale Comstock looks like the stereotypical badass guy, but he is in no way afraid to make fun of himself, man. So the last time I interviewed him, 2 times ago, was about that piece on them doing contracting in Yemen. And, he came on and he talked about it and was pretty candid about it. And I remember we interviewed him after the fact, and we were like, how's the response going? And he's like, I'll be honest, my lawyer is calling me saying, shut your fucking mouth, dude. Don't go on podcasts. So like he's a guy who doesn't give a fuck, but does look like that badass Delta Force guy, which he is.
And then you got guys like me that look thought you'd be bigger. That's the kind of thing I always get. I get the Patrick Swayze.
I am not going to lie. You know what? I'm going to have to post on a Throwback Thursday when I randomly ran into you at the gym in Vegas a few years back.
That's right.
And I have the picture of us working out. And I'm gonna even say my mom saw the picture of us. She's like, Tano's legs are really skinny, don't you think?
I get that. I got chicken legs, brother. I can run like the wind, and I will outrun you. That's why I love being underestimated.
It's true though, man. My friend George was like one of the greatest runners in our high school, long distance runners, and he's got the exact same thing.
It comes from the Navajo blood, man. I'm telling you, it does. It comes from that Navajo Indian blood that I get from my grandma. I can run like the wind, and my legs will, I don't care how many squats I do, they will always be skinny. Always. And believe I get it at the home. My wife's an All-American volleyball player. She has bigger legs than I do.
That's
so
true.
Believe me, I got to hear it at home.
I got to put up that picture for a Throwback Thursday at some point,
That's
and
awesome.
then the picture of us where you got the Pretty in Pink DVD signed that Wilcow did for you, because and it lets the audience know too. By the way, Kris and I have known each other for, I believe, like 5 years. It's not like
I said 3, didn't I? See,
yeah, you did. I think we've known each other about 5 years, as long as the book's
right.
been out, really. And it's not like we just came together for this podcast out of nowhere. We've been friends and talking for quite a while now.
Yes, that's why and with our connection with Drew and Sofrup just kept it going on, and Wilcow. And speaking of that, brother, I almost missed that. I was actually out training, shooting, and I thought he said 3:30 Central Time, not 3:30 Eastern Time.
That's right. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I got a little vibration in my pocket, and I was actually on the line doing a block of instruction, and I looked at it for some reason. I usually don't because I'm instructing, and like, holy crap, that's Ben's. And I like ran. I said, Ben, take this. And I ran outside and like, oh my, I hope they get me on. And that's the top notch person Andrew Wilcow is, though. Even for that split second, he got me on. And Andrew and I think work together. I think that whole crew, even when it was there and now, you guys are so cool, and you were cool there. You're still cool. You're still probably even a little cooler than when you were with Wilcow because you're with me now.
Thank you,
or I'm with you, I should say. but Ben's and Wilcow, they're like, yeah, no sweat. That was awesome. And I thought it went, for that just quick thing, I thought it went really well. And speaking of that, I got to go get that picture from Emmett O'Looney's that Andrew saved with the Jameson picture. And for all those out there in New York City, I will be having a book signing at O'Looney's there, which is on 7th and Broadway here next week. I'll get next year. I'll get it set up.
And we have to do another in studio then. Well, you got to let me know the date, and we'll do another in studio.
Oh, we'll be doing another in studio before that, brother. I'll come in. But that honestly, Ian, that probably what people been telling me is during Fleet Week, so that's not till May. But if that's what the best time to do it within, then we'll do it during Fleet Week. So I definitely will be in studio before that. But we will do it in studio one when I'm there as well. So yeah, I kind of lean on you, New Yorkers too. You got to tell me.
No, whenever works, man. But no, there was a great appearance on there, and Mike is a great guy, and still talk to him regularly. Probably one of the most politically incorrect people of all time, and I love it. And so I was going to let you guys know if you have any questions for the podcast. I'm getting a lot of like guest suggestions and stuff, and keep in mind we have people we want to get to, and Kris wants to get to, but I do read them all. But like any questions for us, I would love to do a mailbag type segment. So email us. battlelinepodcast@gmail.com. Whether it's a question about Benghazi or a question about Kris's thoughts on this, or my thoughts on something, maybe fitness questions. We love talking about that stuff. Like I said, I do want to bring on some people in the spirituality stuff. Maybe my friend
we do, bro. We need to get that done. That's a definite.
I'll probably get that for like December or January. We'll definitely do that type of thing. I think it's a good idea. Oh, and you know what I wanted to tell you I just thought was kind of funny now that we're establishing ourselves and I get to look at the stats. If you had to guess, because I am able to see this now, what city do you think is our biggest listening audience?
Seriously? By the way you're asking me, it sounds like it'd be something I wouldn't even think about.
It's kind of surprising, yeah.
Okay, do me for just give me a hint.
Okay, I'll give you a hint.
Is it a coaster or mid?
No, here's my hint. Since you're in the tactical community, it is a place that is not very friendly of the tactical community.
Really?
Yeah.
Hold on. Denver.
No.
No, that is tactical. Give me one more try. That's stupid. Terrible guess. I
mean, what city would you say hates guns the most?
Los Angeles.
I mean, that might be up there. You want me to give it to you?
Chicago.
Yes. Chicago is our biggest listening audience.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but it is.
Well, and you know what? Chicago, we train out there. We in the range in Crete. That's one of our best with the Devad Defense out there. Where Daniel Lombard, speaking of a South African, he's a former South African police officer, works for Chicago Police now. That's one of the ranges, my primary ranges we use for Battleline. So, and they have, that is by far the most motivated range I always go to. When we have instruction there, we get police officers, current Chicago police officers out there, and we get some high-speed civilians that can shoot. Rudy Reyes, we're going to have him on as a guest too.
He seems like such a character, man. I would love to have him on.
He's a very good friend, very good friend. He came out to our last course. Those people are incredible. You'd be shocked. And
he's
I did
a badass,
an
that
event
guy
out there, Lakeshore. Yeah, it's just Lakeshore out there in outside of Northeast Chicago. It is extremely, extremely supportive of not just of the responsible use of firearms. It really is. It's very smart, very intelligent. Probably the best city I've ever been. Out of all the cities in America, Chicago is the best by far.
Wow.
It's just and as I'm speaking as a runner, to go out and run and seeing the sights. I run every place I go. It's the best way to see a city. Chicago is the most beautiful city to run in. But just the people there, you know what? I am shocked when I say it, but now thinking about it, by the amount of support we get there, especially when we do training, and the caliber of people we get that are just civilians and their police department, the people that we come and train with from the police force there, it honestly isn't a surprise because they are huge, huge, huge firearms advocates and the responsible use of firearms, and they love veterans. One of the biggest veteran fundraisers I've done in the last 4 years was in Lakeshore, was in Northeast Chicago, and it was amazing. And one of the best ranges, I'm gonna have to do a book signing and teach a class up there, is actually in Northeast Chicago as well. So I'll have 2 ranges to use up there. But you're right. I would have thought Dallas or maybe Kansas, maybe Kansas City, or maybe even up in the Dakotas, maybe up in Fargo. But Chicago wouldn't have been my first guess. But that is, to me, that's awesome. That makes me happy.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Pretty cool. I like seeing those stats, and there are people listening overseas. We got listeners also in like Canada. It's cool to see, man. So last thing before we wrap this up too that I wanted to mention that we haven't gotten to is that you have a new clothing line coming out.
Oh yeah,
it's out now, I should say.
It is out now. The guys from American Trigger Pullers, and they're run by a buddy of mine. His name's John, and I always say his last name wrong. It's Melamed, but he's First Ranger Bat. ATP, American Trigger Pullers, I've wore their stuff, their T-shirts. That is old school Ranger Battalion mentality. That is the 75th Ranger Regiment right there. I mean, you look at all the other T-shirt companies out there; they have if you want to see what Ranger mentality is, and some of it's very offensive to today's society. War doesn't care about being offensive or not, and a lot of their stuff. If you go to ATP, you'll read like, oh my gosh, honestly, that's Airborne Ranger right there. That's 75th Ranger Regiment. To have them and us me do a line with them, to me is amazing. For them to do a Tano clothing line, and again, I keep mine. I'm the PG rated part. I am the family friendly part of American Trigger Pullers, but that's me too. I have that in me, that Airborne Ranger mentality in me, because that's where I was born and raised as far as the military goes. And you have to have that when you're in combat. You really do. But I'm also, I am a Christian. I'm a terrible, terrible Christian in comparison to people out there who maybe think that, but I still am a Christian as far as just trying to live my life the best every day and following the commandments. And I've had my stumbles, and I think that line represents that, and it represents Tano, and to have American Trigger Pullers doing that Tano line, to me it's perfect, and it's a blessing. I can't believe it. So it just go to that my christanoprano.net. You'll see, and actually I just started it. I'm doing some holiday sales, of course, like we all do Black Friday. Just hit the official Tano apparel button in the top, in the left corner there. Top right corner as you're looking at the screen, and that'll redirect you to the actual site, which, if you want to go to the actual site, is tano/apparel.myshopify.com, and then you'll see my big mug pull up in. And my wife had a lot to do with this, because the ladies needed stuff, and my wife, I love her to death. She wears home. She represents Tano very well, and she has her own line of stuff there. All that stuff is her designs, and it's the next level stuff. It's the stuff that I on all my other clothes. So it's
Next Level is the best. No joke.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a Next Level shirt right now.
And I got to send you some stuff, dude. I'll send you some of this. So you have it, but it's high quality.
I have 2 of the Battleline tactical shirts, which I love the fit of them. No, it's great, man. It's great.
I'll send you the Tano shirts and some of the sayings I had in them, and we'll be doing more. And then there's more accessories, the coffee mugs and all that stuff that I had used that they had sent me that I liked, and can we do a line of this stuff? So everything on here is everything that they had sent me as far as American trigger pullers that I loved and I know that held up. It wasn't cheap made stuff, and can we do that? So it's all been tested by me, and those canvas prints. Those are high quality, awesome prints, and I'm just in awe. So I hate pitching myself, but I've been doing pretty well here rambling. But bro, if people get out there, there's a 20% discount. Just when you check out, hit Tano, spell it with a capital T, TANTO. You get 20% off. Or if you go to my stuff, my other stuff, my older like the Battleline shirts and the books and DVDs that I have on the ChrisTanoParano.net website, which is the swag portion of it. You get 30% off everything, and I'll be having those sales all the way through Christmas. So I just, as a way of saying thanks, really, for everybody. So
yeah,
thank you.
I will absolutely rock any of those, and the time that people hearing this, that should all apply to, because it'll be Cyber Monday when people are hearing this when it goes up.
Yes, sir.
I, of course, once again want to mention Fort Scott Munitions, and I really can't stress enough, guys, I appreciate so much the fact that they came on board so early on. It really says a lot about Fort Scott because we're just establishing ourselves. I have no problem saying we're very early on, so we don't really have the numbers that a lot of other podcasts do right now. We're building up, and we're quickly building, but a lot of other sponsors are like, oh, we want to wait until you build your audience, and Fort Scott stands behind you that much that they said, no, we'll come on board early on, and because of them, we're able to do this show and not, be in the hole in terms of money, and it means a lot to us, of course, because we love doing this. But we're not trying to go broke doing it. And it means a lot that they said, we'll come on board, and their product is amazing. So,
it is.
If you guys come on board and support them, it really shows to them that, hey, this podcast has a loyal audience that's going to support products that they put out. And it makes us look good. So hopefully if you're looking for Christmas presents for anyone who's a gun enthusiast, this is the way to go.
If you're hunters, guys, it's the best hunting ammo out there. And they have YouTube videos to prove that. If you're not a hunter and you need stuff for mine, I'm not a big hunter, guys. I like to do bird hunting, but I'm not a big game hunter. Not that I condemn it. I just am not, because I like being warm, to be honest with you. I like being in my house and not sitting up in a deer stand freezing my huevos off.
I hear that.
But they do the home defense ammo. They make some of the best, just straight up 9mm home defense ammo that. And God forbid you're in that situation, but if you want something that's gonna stop a threat immediately. You don't want to have to get in a prolonged gunfight or a fight in itself. You want it to end for the safety of you and for the safety of your family or whoever innocent you're protecting. And they do. I've shot it. I've tested it. I've shot it. And the 9mm ammo, 40 cal ammo is the best you're going to find out there. It is by far.
And I can't stress enough, as I said, this is the reason we're able to put out this great free content is sponsors like this. So when you support them, you're supporting us. And I tried to make it a point that instead of going the Patreon route where you're going to have to pay for episodes and all that, I really don't want to do that. I want to
I don't want to do
the
that
biggest
either,
audience as possible. Yeah. And if you support our sponsors, that means as much as supporting a Patreon or something, and we get to keep this free content out there. So once again, Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact, which is their own trademark, in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did this TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike, as Tonto was saying. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, as well as directly online through FortScottMunitions.com. That's Fort Scott, Munitions, just making sure you got that right. Because a lot of people are probably thinking Fort Scott Ammunitions, but Fort Scott Munitions. .com. Yeah, and use the exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order. And I actually was on the website today just to make sure that code works, which it does. They have some great gear, too. I even said, I was like, hey, we appreciate you coming on board, but if you want to send me like a T-shirt or a sweatshirt, I will gladly wear that because it's some really cool gear they have. So that's only available to listeners of the Battleline Podcast, which they're a proud supporter, once again, of Kris Paronto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. Promo code Battleline for 15% off. That's one word, FortScottMunitions.com. Can't thank them enough for coming on board early on as a sponsor and just believing in what we do and believing in what you do.
Hey, brother, and we're going to have that set. This isn't just a Black Friday. That's Battleline is as long as Ian's the boss, as long as we want to have it, Ian has it with Fort Scott, that 15% is going to be there. It's just not going to be one and done. So, and that says a lot for Ian and Fort Scott itself, just finding that we're going to give people back. We give people as best we can discounts on things that we support and things that back us. So I appreciate that, Ian, and I appreciate you putting that out, because the Kraft family who runs Fort Scott Munitions, I'm going to say it again, have been nothing but shown integrity and friendship to my family and have treated us extremely well. Even when other people bounced during that hard year, this last year, they stayed right there.
And amazing. I could tell that relationship is there because I was on a call with them just to solidify all this. And, like I said, we're just getting started. So it wasn't about like, oh, these numbers are so impressive. It was more about, hey, we believe in what Kris does. And if Kris is a part of this, we want to be a part of it.
And I put 110%, and Ian, you do. That's one thing that we do always agree on, Ian. You and I will always put 110% back up anything we do. And those that are supporting us and those that are part of us, we're going to give you 110% too. And that's, so you come on and you're sponsored with us, and Fort Scott knows that with me. That's why I don't think it was an issue with him coming on. Why it was to them was like, well, this is no brainer. Kris is always putting himself out there, and he goes the extra mile to help us. So we'll help him a little bit here. And I can't, that's just integrity. You don't see that in business world nowadays very much. And they still have it. To me, that's old school. That's when I was growing up. That's what people used to do when I was growing up. The businesses did. And I love that. And it says a lot about them just as a business in themselves, as far as having integrity and having honor and having, duty to keep promises and to help us, to help guys like myself that still can't believe I have people that would do that for me. I'm still, again, I'm the redneck from Nebraska. Can't believe that people would do that. Yeah. So I'm rambling now because you're going to start getting me choked up and I'm going to start crying. So I'm going to switch back to you, brother. Take over. You're going to get me verklempt, and I don't want to be verklempt.
No, I think that's it, man. So it's at Battleline Pod on Twitter, at Battleline Podcast on Instagram. Kris's Instagram, of course, at real_Kris_Tanto_Paronto. The funny thing with Kris and I is Kris is only on Instagram. I'm only on Twitter. So on Twitter at Ian Scotto. And guys, we really appreciate you giving us some great feedback with all these episodes. Let people know we're spreading the word of this as organically as possible. And leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts when you get done with this.
Yeah, thanks everybody out there. I swear I'm going to keep talking because I just want to keep giving everybody shout outs. So I just want to say thank you and have a great Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to those that wish me and my family happy Thanksgiving today, and we'll do tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I mean, as they're hearing this, they probably had it. So.
Oh, so you did. Please, see, thank you. That's why he is the pro and I'm not.
It would be cool if we were live, but yeah, it'll be up Monday.
For those that did wish me a happy Thanksgiving, and I couldn't respond, you believe me, I saw it, and I want to say thank you to all you. I just can't respond to everybody, but it does mean a lot to me and my family. So thank you for doing that, wishing us a happy Thanksgiving back last Thursday.
Never give it up, I'm right beside you. Never give
That's all for this week's Battleline Podcast, but we'll be back on Monday with more American Straight Talk, so make sure you're subscribed. And keep up with the show 24/7 on Facebook and Instagram at Battleline Podcast. Also on Twitter at Battleline Pod. As always, never quit.